PW Botha was not the architect of apartheid, but he was a fervent believer in separating races by force and rule by whites only. As a cabinet minister, he was personally responsible for forced removals, among other places, District 6. But Botha was the architect of destabilization of neighboring states and brutal raids across the borders. And he was the architect of that vicious ideology of the 1980s, the total onslaught. It is a hard fact that the vast majority of human rights violations reported to the Truth Commission and the vast majority of crimes for which policemen and soldiers are asking amnesty happened during PW Botha's rule as Prime Minister and State President. A large number of his foot soldiers, officers, and some of his cabinet colleagues have already appeared before the Truth Commission. But 82-year-old Botha has called the Truth Commission a circus and refuses to appear to answer questions on his years in office. That refusal is a contravention of an Act of Parliament, and he was formally charged. Before we tell you the whole story of the groot krokodil's day in court, let's remind ourselves who this man was.
Ons sal nou die stem sing.
Die beginsel van een man, een stem kan nie in Suid-Afrika werk nie. It can't work because it didn't work elsewhere in Africa.
I have applied much self-discipline during the past weeks and months. I've been lenient and patient. Don't push us too far. Don't push us too far in your own interests.
My husband is a man of great compassion and very deep feelings.
Neither the international community at large nor any particular state will dictate to us what the contents of our political program should be. We have to live in this country. We have nowhere else to go. Therefore, we ourselves will find solutions to our problems, and we will make them work. Let no one doubt this.
This is my land, my native land. This is my South Africa. I'm not going to allow you to interfere in our internal affairs. Keep your hands out of South Africa. We will solve our problems in our own way.
Dad is also a sensitive person. He can become very sad occasionally, especially when a pet or a friend that he's very fond of dies.
And to those who prefer revolution to reform, I say that they will not succeed. They will not succeed. If necessary, we will use stronger measures, but they won't succeed.
Friday morning, 23 January 1998. PW Botha's day in court had come. Photographers are waiting to catch Botha taking his customary early morning walk outside his wilderness mansion.
Goodbye. Thank you, sir.
In George, the local ANC is getting ready for their day of showing their anger and protest.
Comrades, if we had to put down all the crimes of PW Botha, this wall is too small.
Of course we have to build another.
We left out Ashley Creel. We left out District 6. We left out Sophia Town. We left out Cato Manor. We left out so many crimes, blatant crimes.
There had been much speculation in newspapers about possible clashes between large numbers of right-wingers and ANC demonstrators. The white people of George were holding their breath, and the police were ready for anything. But when the first groups of chanting protesters arrived from the township, they were clearly well disciplined.
Comrades, die dag. Dat is een ander dag voor ons. Dit is een zeer dag voor ons. Wat onze mensen in het verleden zwaar getrokken heeft. Wat zal vandaag voor de hof verschijnen? Ja, comrades, ik zal lijk. Laat ons niet allemaal onder de bomen staan. Ons moet samenvechten dat ons de pijn vandaag voor onze comrades. Wat gemaakt was. Door het oude regime van PW Botha. Pas op PW Botha. Pas. With the workers struggle for us.
I've known Mr. Botha for so many years, and he's a good friend of mine. I thought it's good that a few of his friends turned up to be with him.
I'm here as leader of the Conservative Party. I have sympathy with Mr. Botha and I'm here to support him.
Nothing came of the thousands of right-wingers. Only a handful turned up.
Hier is my vlag, hy's hier. En niemand, Mandela, tot by die voetbalmense, vat hom nie by my weg. Dit is my vlag. Hy sal by my bly.
Dis die man se reg om te sê soos hy voel, hè? As hy 'n bystander van PW Botha.
Te veel. As hulle hom vat, laat hulle hom vat. Dan sal hulle sien wie is die werklike Afrikaner nie dan.
Wie is die naam?
Ongeag of jy NPDP waar jy staan. Hy's 'n Afrikaner.
In fact, there were far more members of the South African and international media than supporters of Botha.
What am I going to do my little on-camera bit?
And I can see him.
Only a few friends and supporters of Botha, 6 media people and some ANC representatives were allowed inside the court, where Botha had to face Magistrate Victor Lugaji, President of the Western Cape Regional Courts. He told Botha to appear again on the 23rd of February and that the trial would begin on 14 April. And then Botha held a press conference inside the court.
Dames en heren, can you all hear me? Yes. Those who can't hear me, put up your hand. And salute me. Ek staan by almal wat wettige opdragte van die regering uitgevoer het in ons stryd teen revolusionêre kommunistiese aanslae teen ons vaderland wat moet afloop op anargie. Ek staan nog by my standpunt dat ek die verguising van dapper soldate en polisiemane verwerp. Hulle is nie so sleg nie. Hulle het in die dag en in die nag die orde in hierdie land gehandhaaf.
Ek eer hulle, ek salueer hulle.
Weg. Amber.
En dan word dit alles een aan die deur gelê van sogenaamde apartheid. Lees die boeke en die toesprake wat ek oor my geskryf is. Study them. Lees my toesprake in die parlement. En u sal sien dat hierdie 'n holle kreet is. Hierdie perdkraai van apartheid. While I expressly stated in the open that apartheid is an Afrikaans word and can be easily replaced by a proper positive term, neighborly, good neighborliness. Who's laughing? Ek het aan meneer Mandela gesê, don't awaken the tiger in the Afrikaner. And I'm afraid they are busy doing it.
Hulle het vir ons gewaarsku. Hulle het vir Suid-Afrika gewaarsku dat as ons nou aangaan met die TRC, dan gaan die tier en die Afrikaner wakker geskrik word.
What are you warning at?
Every nation has a tiger in himself. The moment you attack the pride of a nation, you attack the cultural values of a nation, the deep beliefs of his existence, and his self-respect, that moment you awaken the tiger in him.
What's the tiger going to do?
The tiger is all over the world. He's going to fight back.
Tigers, the National Party, Tigers, Afrikaners, who are also going to organize the tigers of the people.
But I'm not here to apologize. That's my point with the so-called Truth and Reconciliation Commission. They want me to apologize. I'm not prepared to apologize.
Hy het weer vandag gesê dat hy is aan niemand 'n verskoning verskuldig nie. En hy staan by al die polisiemanne en hy staan by al die army manne wat mense doodgemaak het in die naam van die regering van destyds. So hy vra geen verskoning nie.
Are you saying you never did anything wrong? That's why you won't apologize?
No, but you are always in front to do wrong things.
My question was to you.
I know that gentleman. He's one of the gentlemen I don't like.
Who's the killer? Who's the killer?
Are you going to apologize for all the people who died in jail, who died in Lesotho, and who died in neighboring countries?
No, I'm praying for them.
The raids in Lesotho, 1982, 1985. The raids in Matola, 1981. The raids in Swaziland. The raids in Mozambique. The raids in Angola. The raids in Zambia. The raids in Zimbabwe. The raids in Botswana. All were because of the policies of PW Botha.
Did you know that there were no tigers in Africa?
If there were, you wouldn't have been one of them.
We want the truth. Nothing else but the truth, comrades. And whether Botha does not want to go to the TRC or not, the truth is going to come out, comrades. Yes. Because our people want to know what happened to their sons and daughters, their mothers and fathers, Makaban.
We want Botha! We want Botha! We want Botha! We want Botha!
Net die feit dat PW Botha in haar hofsaak kan instap, net die feit dat PW Botha kan staan in haar beskuldigde bank, en net die feit dat hy, wat ek later gehoor het, want ek was in die swart judge moes gefeis het, en wat ek ook gehoor het, dat hy 'n brein staatsaanklager het, net die meer feit dat hy daar gestaan het, en die nuwe Suid-Afrika om soort van vooraf gesien in sy eie hofsale waarvan hy so 'n berugte symbool was van die apartheid. Vir my in dit self was meer as net 'n oorwinning. En as ek praat van 'n oorwinning, wil ek uit my oogpunt sê, is dit veral vir die gemeenskap van George, is dit 'n oorwinning wat ek dink weinig in die geskiedenis nog so herleef was. So net die feit die plea is en die skuldbevinding is uit my oogpunt belangrik, maar net die feit dat hy daar ingestap het in daardie howe en gefeis het 'n swart judge en ook gefeis het 'n swart kleerling dan in die sin 'n staatsanklaer is vir my van kardinale belang.
One disappointing thing for many people in George is the fact that PW Botha, after the magistrate had made his ruling, went on record as saying that he doesn't feel it necessary to apologize for anything. Outside the courtroom were people from the Weikamp, from Pakelstorp, from Tembeletu, from Borchitz, people who suffered while PW Botha was the Member of Parliament for George. So for PW to stand up and say that there's nothing for which he feels he has to apologize, I think really hurt a lot of people.
50% of the comrades, believe you me, they believe that PW should go to jail. They actually believe that they say that if PW is young enough to take a wife, he's young enough to go to jail. This is their point of view. And they say that he is still old for the TRC, but is it old om 'n jong vrou te vat? This is their point of view. And I was trying to interact with them and actually convince them that maybe a better route would be if he had to pay a fine daily for his contempt of the TRC, or try to explore those avenues. And they were quite adamant, no, he must go to jail.
Nee, ons wil nie PW moet tronk toe gaan nie. Dis nie waar vir ons gereël het nie. Maar ons wil in eerste plek hê, soos reeds gesê is, 'n verskoning van PW Botha af. Hy moet erken dat die apartheid was nie die intended apartheid waarvan hulle praat nie. Hy moet erken dat hy skuld hierdie gemeenskap van Suid-Afrika en spesifiek vir George 'n meer as om verskoning. Maar ongelukkig sit ons met 'n man wat verhard is. Hy homself is verhard, maar ons buite wat gerelateerd is nie net ons verhard is nie. Ons soek 'n uitlaatklep om ons frustrasies uit te kry, want hy wil dit nie vir ons gee nie.
Right next to the Magistrates' Court and the area where the people demonstrated is the George Museum. A large part of the museum is taken up by an exhibition of the life of PW Botha. But this exhibition will not remain untouched for long.
We have a shrine here of him in George. It's literally a shrine. I mean, if you go in there, they call it the George Museum. It is funded by the ratepayers. It is, the upkeep is paid for by the ratepayers, but it is a shrine. Everything in that museum is PW's. I think we need to make a call to or we are going to make a call to our George Council that if PW feels he wants to have a shrine, he must pay for it himself. But if the ratepayers have to pay for a museum, then I think, and if we need to have some of PW's memorial, or anything of PW in that museum, it needs to be contextualized. For instance, if you walk in that museum, he's got awards from the Premier of Chile.
And Savimbi's got
an
AK-47.
You know, he's got. It is totally ridiculous. So what we need to say is, who are these leaders that gave him this stuff? And talk a little about them as well. All these different associations. So we need to redefine what is being said within that museum. I don't know whether that is possible. And the
history, I think what we want in that museum is a history of the people of George.
Precisely.
What happened in Leviathan, people from the Eiland that were moved out. And that's what we want. We want a history of George reflected in that museum. And I'm very happy that the ANC region is going to make a call on the Council of George to actually transform that museum. I don't think we can go on any longer pretending that that shrine in any way reflects what happened in George.